Hello and welcome back to Thursday's vlog. I get mixed up what day it is sometimes. I'm surprised some of my videos I'm saying the wrong day. If I am, I apologise. I have to sit and scratch my head every time before I start and think, what day is it? Anyways, before we get into any of the car work, I've just been listening to the radio there, BBC Radio 2. I think, who is it? Jeremy Vine? I think it might be. It says on the screen. Oh my god, obviously as you all know with the fuel rise, I'm not going to go too much into that. We all know it's an absolute rip-off. 190 it is for diesel in my local village. And there's an Asda. We don't live out in the sticks. There is an Asda literally a minute up the road, and I think it's only like 160 there. So they are actually charging more than motorway services, which is disgusting. But anyways, I've just been listening on the radio there, and there's been, I don't know who these people were, but there was some, one of the guys was an environmentalist, and the other guy was like a motoring journalist or something like that. And my god, I mean, some of you down south might have heard about this SUV tribe that are going around letting everyone's tyres down in the south area, down south somewhere. I don't know where it is. Going around letting tyres down on people's SUVs, four-wheel drives, because they're so polluting. And they've just been talking about it on there that there's been like a freeze in the fuel duty since 2010, and naturally the prices have gone up because of that freeze. Sorry, I just had somebody come at the garage there. Yeah, so these two were having a bit of an argument on the radio. I mean, the old guy, Joe, I miss him being around, because all that ever used to get said with these people on the radio was F this, F off, things that we shouldn't say. I'm not going to say in case any kids watch this, but he told them how they were. If he spoke his mind, and I found myself, I'm actually on my own at the garage in the minute, and I was certainly throwing some language towards the radio, which I'll not repeat. Honestly, this guy was a complete idiot, this environmentalist, saying that the fact that the taxes on fuel have been frozen since 2010, I think he said, and we are well overdue, that this is a good thing. We need the fuel duty to go up to stop people using their cars as much, and it's something that we should all accept and move on with. And if there's a problem about how much fuel costs, we should all go out and buy more efficient cars and electric cars, and then that way it wouldn't bother us. Are these idiots for real? I mean, just for example, a Vauxhall Corsa, petrol one, standard, but actually no, we'll not say standard, a good spec Corsa, nearly top of the range, petrol or diesel, don't quote us on this, you're looking around about 15 grand, brand spanking new. For an electric Corsa, you're looking at 36 grand. So no, I cannot afford to get rid of my £1,000 car, nice car, and go out and buy what our class is a little city box for £36,000, just to get a loophole out of paying the high tax. And what else you were saying was as well, that people should consider doing more active things, as in not using their cars. I'm fine, I walk to work. But so what we're all going to do, guys, if you work 15 mile away from where you live, are we just going to walk there, shall we? So, you've got to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning, set off about 5, maybe. I mean, are these people actually for real? Honestly, some of the stuff that they're going on about on there, arguing between each other, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, he was going on saying people are just complaining about nothing. Basically, they're complaining because they're getting a few less miles to what they would usually put in. This guy obviously doesn't drive. He must ride a bike. Because, if you're running a business, fair enough, for social and domestic use, you can cut that down. But then people aren't going to have a life. And you're entitled to have a life if you work. You know what I mean? If you want to have an SUV, if you can afford it, what's the problem? You're paying the high tax on it. But this guy was saying people are just moaning on about these fuel price hikes. They're moaning on because they're getting a few less miles to what they're putting in their tank. I don't think he realises that the price, if you work it out, in the middle of COVID, diesel went down to 99.9. Now it's at, I believe, in some places around the country, over 200. That's doubled in price. So if you put a tenner in, now you're only getting the equivalent of a fiver. Wait, let's not go on that lines of money, because people have took the mick about that. Say you put 10 litres in, and it was £10. Now you're putting £10 in and you're getting 5 litres. So I think he thinks people must just have all cars as a hobby. People need cars for work. People need cars for, everything else that we all do in our life. And for him to turn around... Sorry there, I got something in my eye. They're busy ripping the roof off the building across the road. There's so much dust coming into here the other day. Yeah, and I think he doesn't realise that, a lot of us, I don't know if you guys are, but, I'm not flush with cash, so to speak. Now that the price of gas and electric's gone through the roof, the price of fuel's gone through the roof, we've got caravan trips booked. My partner doesn't earn a big wage. I don't really earn a big wage. So, we both kind of run on... kind of our wages. We've got 2 kids, 2 dogs, and these people just moaning on with things like that, going there's no big deal with this fuel cost. That is, and we're lucky. I walk to work, and my partner has a diesel car, and it's only a couple of miles away. But yeah, I don't know if any of you guys listen to the radio. I mean, as the time is now is 12:30. It was about 12 o'clock. Don't know if any of you listen to the radio at work, BBC Radio 2. And let us know if you did listen to the same bit that I was hearing. This guy, I don't know their names. But yeah, we'll leave that there with them. Complete idiots, in my opinion. Well, not the other guy, but this environmentalist was. But one last thing on Gallon. And these SUVs, you've all heard about these people down south getting their tyres put down. This would be the first candidate to get hit. So yeah, this here produces 300 grams per whatever it is, per kilometre, what they put it down to. This is a 2.2 petrol, this produces about 210. So between 300 and 210, there's only 90 in it. Now between a 2.2 hatchback, so to speak, convertible, and a great big SUV, there's not much in it, and that's a petrol one. So if that was a diesel one, it would actually produce less than an average car. So let's not all get on about how bad SUVs are, because most family hatchbacks pollute just as much as them. In reality terms, not on paper. But we'll put it into context here. I own 2 3.7 V6 great big SUVs, right? So there you go. I own those 2 cars. As you know, I walk to work and back every day. I don't go anywhere through the week, on an evening. I rarely do now. By the time I get in from work, get in the shower, get tea, see the kids, I'm in for the night. Unless it's an absolute emergency on weeknights, me or my partner don't use the car. That's the odd time, I think, on a Tuesday or something. She'll go out once Olivia's at bed and do the shopping. I don't. Simply, I don't. And if I need cars, I use them through the day here at the garage, my dad's car and stuff. So, what's more polluting? If you own a Toyota Prius, like an electric car, a hybrid car, the best diesel car you can get for emissions, or the best petrol car you can get for emissions, and you use that car every single day, back and forward for school runs, back and forward for work, you're a rep, you're doing hundreds of miles a day, right? I use my car once, maybe twice, maybe sometimes on a Saturday, if not on a Monday. That's normally it. So are we meaning to say that using that once or twice a week, wait, actually that one's off the road 6 months a year, that using that once or twice a week is more polluting than me, than somebody in another car using it day in, day out like a works vehicle. So it's utter rubbish going around penalising people for these SUVs. It should be down to how many miles you drive, because they're both my SUVs pollute less than the most cleanest hybrids you can get. Even the electric cars through the flipping power stations that produce the power to charge them. And people go, oh, well, scrap that. They were saying, well, everybody should scrap the SUVs and get something else. Now, this car at the minute is running perfectly fine, clean. It gets used a couple of times a week. This one doesn't really. The other one does. And it tows the caravan. That's it. Now, to physically scrap that car would create more of a carbon footprint to actually scrap it, depollute it, take it off the road, and then me go out and buy another car just because it's cleaner. You would have to do a hell of a lot of miles to claim that back. So honestly, these lot on these like radio stations and on magazines, you read these environments that they absolutely live in a dream world. They really are living in a dream world. So we'll leave that there. Anyways, what we've got in today, there's a little Fiesta, which I'll come back to you separately, but I'll show you what we've got, which you've just seen. This Astra. This used to be my car, 2.2 convertible Bertone, lovely car, interior's cracking. But it's have a bit of work done before its MOT in, I think, April or May. So what we got in, the front bottom ball joints have gone. There's a lot of play in both, and this car stood for quite a long time. Plus they're getting quite badly corroded, the bottom arms. So we've got 2 arms to do on it. You can see the discs aren't in the best of conditions. All that edge is going away, quite heavily cracking. And the customer wanted them done because he does actually drive this car quite hard, believe it or not. So he said just to get on, just do them, and naturally when you've got all the hubs stripped down, the chin, get the bottom bulb joint off, it's easier. So again with this car, it's an 04 plate. So the bottom ball joint's gone, the arm's corroded, and those bushes aren't the best. So naturally the best option to do when it's off is to change both the arms, obviously both the arms, but the full complete arm, because they're riveted in and you can't actually change. You've got to go grinding them, the rivets off, to get them off, and you take longer to do that. So as you've seen, Lem Forder, they are exactly the same as what's on. When I've got the old ones off, I'll see if I can find. This is the Lem Forder symbol. It looks like a little owl. And you see that there? That little owl symbol. Look for that symbol on the rubber boots of any part on a car or TRW, and that's what you'll find. So you get the new clinch bolts with these in the bag down there. We've got 2 arms left and right. They're not cheap. These are nearly 100 quid each. Rear pads it's in for, which I've got the old ones there, original GM ones as well. I find that hard to believe. I never fitted them. So I've got the new pads to go on the back, new front discs and pads, and what I'm going to do as well, the back springs are not really matching. Now, I don't know when this has happened, because it wasn't when I had it. If you look, that's quite a thick gauge spring, and this is very thin. In the car, as you can see, there's a pressure mark there. It's constantly sitting on that second bit, and it does sit very low on this side. So I've got 2 springs coming, but they're not coming till tomorrow. As you can see, the discs are in perfectly serviceable condition, so they're not getting changed. Calipers are winded back, so I'm going to whip them, get them pads put in, get the springs off, and start doing some work at the front. So I'm going to leave this video here, join it into the other one. I'll give a quick walk around the little Fiesta, and when we've got all this built back up, you'll see it before and an after, and see what you think. When all the new discs are on, new arms are on, I'll compare. I'll show you on the old arms to the new arms. Let us know if you like that. So I'll get back to you very soon. Catch you later. Right, I'll finish off today's vlog now. I'll show you this because the springs for this Astra aren't coming till tomorrow morning, so I may as well show you on the beginning of tomorrow morning's vlog, Friday's vlog, when the Astra's done. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to get this uploaded. And like I've mentioned, there's problems with the signal or something around here. If I start this, it's now 1:30. If I start uploading this now, I'd be lucky if it's uploaded by 5 o'clock. Yeah, if I go 2 minutes up the road to my house, where I've got the fibre broadband, bang, it's on within like sort of 5 minutes, but it takes all day here. Right, so on with the Fiesta. I'll show you before we get to the Astra. These little Fiestas, I don't know what I've just done with the little clips. A lot of them leak, as you can see. If you own one of these Fiestas and you find you have a slight radiator leak, the bottom radiator hose here, the clip on them rusts to bits. It must be right in the direct line of the salt and the water. So if you have one of these with a kind of intermittent leak, make sure you get the bottom radiator hose, because if that clip comes off, you'll lose all your coolant and you'll be in a world of pain. It just took us 10 minutes to find that. It's on the floor. So yeah, this is what we're dealing with. Just a standard radiator hose clamp. And what they do is it must just be in the direct line of all the salt and the dirt, and they're just basically the crack, but you cannot even see that they're cracked. But obviously they lose the pressure, they ping open like that, and they look like they're still on, but they're not. So yeah, if you own one of these Fiestas, just make sure you change it. It'll only cost you a few quid, if that, just to change it with a standard Jubilee clip hose clamp. Your job done. So what I'm going to do now is just remove this back spring. Just show you what you got to do. You need a transmission jack, because when you let them off, if you just welly these straight off with the weight still on, when the thread comes out to the end, you'll damage all the thread and you'll cause yourself problems, and that goes directly into the axle. So what you need is a T20 Torx, a decent impact driver, but just make sure you have it on securely, because if you don't, you'll round them off, and if you round these off, there's problems. Now this car's got damage to the shield, the brake shield that's around it, through corrosion. This was obviously done years ago, but these are quite difficult to do if you've got an intact shield, because you can see where that goes through to where it should be. So luckily this one hasn't got it, so happy days. So you just get this off. Like I said, this gun just makes light work and everything. Just gently spin it out. Difficult doing this one hand. Like I say, no damage being done to the thread that way. I've never had these off, otherwise they would have been greased. Original shockers, really they could do with being changed at some point. They're getting quite badly corroded, but they're fine for now. So now the shocker's detached, you just simply let the weight off the axle stand, gently. Once it's off, just move it out the way. Again, easier said than done with one hand. Move it out the way. Then what you got to do is just pull this down, this bit here. Again, you need two hands to do it, and take the spring off. What you can do is get a bar in somewhere to lever it down. So I'll get that out now. I'm going to show you this as best as I can with one hand. You just obviously got to pull it down, kicks it out. You get a face full of dust. Lever it out, and there you go. There's your spring. This, I've got new bump stops coming. As you can see, they're getting really badly perished, and the other side is actually being repaired at some point in the past. It doesn't look very good. They're only about a tenner each, and I think it's a better way of doing it. So there's one spring off. As you can see, it's covered this phone full of dust. I'm sorry if the picture's not that good. And like what I'm saying is if you look at the gauge of this spring now, I've got it off, to the gauge of that spring, there was a huge difference in the gauge of the spring. And when the car sat on the floor, this left-hand side sags right down, and as you can see, it's constantly touching the bump stop at the bottom there, which isn't very good. So unfortunately, I can't finish this video today because these springs aren't coming till tomorrow, and I've actually got sport springs and standard because nobody seems to know which one's which. So I said, and each of them are like a full day's order. So I said to the guy, send the sports ones, send the regular ones, and I'll compare them on the floor, use the ones that match, send the ones back. Otherwise, we're on to Friday, we'll have to wait till Saturday. We're not open Saturday, we're not open till Tuesday. This car's going to be stuck in. So, I want to get on now and put the front discs and pads on once the arms have done. Do the arms. With these arms, when you tighten these inner nuts and bolts, you've got to use that transmission jack and jack the car up to the point of where it will be sitting on the road, because if you tighten them up at this angle, the bushes will be twisted all the time and they'll damage your bushes. So that's really the only bit of advice I can give you to changing wishbone arms, is when you've got them, jack them up with a jack and beam to the road position, then tighten them. But I'll come back to you tomorrow, and obviously we'll have the new springs on, new arms on, new front discs and pads. Oh, sorry, I totally forgot about that. Rear pads are done, they're in, Padgett ones, as you can see. These are a right nightmare because they put the brake hose so close to the nut you can't get a ratchet on, you can't get a spanner, nothing. So what you've actually got to do is use the inner piece, and you can just hold it on with an open-ended spanner, but you would just round it if you did it and use the inner bit to tighten them up. So they're done. Nice new pads in, new bolts used. There we go. So that's most of the job done. As you can see, that's the damage to that one. So I've got the new bump stops coming just to do the job properly. And like I said, them little Fiestas are spot on. If you ever want to get a car, that's exactly how I would have it. Never mind STs, it would be a titanium spec, not titanium X. They get a little bit too complicated, so you've got all the extras you want. The 1.4 Z-Tech engine, bulletproof. They do the 1.25, little bit weak. The 1.6, little bit thirsty and high tax. 1.4 Z-Tech. 5-door, in white. Exactly that car. I would absolutely snap this car up if it ever actually come up for sale, because I think it's hardly got any miles on as well. Garaged as well, never stands outside. What's the mileage on it? 34,000 mile. And like I say, being the titanium spec, you get all the nice extra climate control, phone Bluetooth, you get the cruise control. Even the STs don't get the cruise control. Automatic lights, heated windscreen, automatic lights and wipers. Definitely one I would have. So yeah, there's your Fiesta Titanium. But if you can, get them with the 1.25, 1.4 or 1.6 Z-Tech engine, petrol. Avoid the 1 litre EcoBoost. The diesel ones, if you really don't need them, avoid them, because they're just Peugeot Citroen engines. Perfect little car that's just been in for straightforward service. It was just an oil and filter change and MOT. That was it. So we'll leave this one the other day. I'll get back to you tomorrow I'll add that Astra in the mornings vlog when the parts come. We'll get that built up. I like doing jobs like that because you get the car coming in, you know, with 2 knackered ball joints, so it wouldn't be driving very good. Front brakes not very good. Back brakes getting down to the metal nearly, and the spring at the back making the handling all. So I like to do a job like this. Yes, it'll cost the customer considerable money, but when you get back into that car, the suspension, the brakes, the feel of the steering, it'll all be absolutely spot on. Where sometimes when you do these jobs to cars, like for example, like a timing belt, no difference. You spend all that money and the car does not drive or sound any different. And sometimes customers are like, huh, spent all that money and there's no real feel of difference to the drive of the car. So yeah, we'll leave that one here today. Please hit the like button if you like it, leave a comment, and if you can, if you already haven't done so, hit the subscribe button. I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye.